Hello, everybody. Welcome to UGASports Live. My name is Radi Nabulsi. I'm joined by Dayne Young, our executive producer, and the man you're all tuning in to see, Jim Donnan, the former Georgia Bulldogs head coach, college football Hall of Famer, mentor of Kirby Smart, Mike Bobo, and countless other coaches throughout the NFL and the college football landscape. And today is the first day of the 2026 season, if you will. The 2025 season concludes last night with Indiana beating Miami in the fourth quarter. Carson Beck throws interception in the last minute. The Indiana goes 16-0, the first team to go 16-0, if I'm not mistaken. And Kirk Cignetti gets Indiana its first national championship. Georgia winds up sixth in the final AP poll. Ole Miss was third, and I want to get Coach's thoughts on that and kind of wrap up the 2025 season before we turn our eyes to 2026. Coach, what did you think of the game last night?
Well, first of all, just heard this story that Bobby Knight, who died last year, was in a rest home, and the guy came in there and started talking to him. Said, "Hey, coach," said, "just want to tell you, Indiana's #1 in football." He said, "I might be in a rest home, but you're not going to be pulling that shit on me." So, but seriously, I mean, come on. When you think about Indiana and the job that Kirk Cignetti's staff, the players have done over the last 2 years, got to be the most amazing turnaround in the history of college football. And we can talk about it and give a lot of different reasons, but the main thing, they deserved it. I mean, they're a really solid football team. They don't beat themselves. They capitalized on a block punt, which usually you get a block punt or a interception for a touchdown, you're going to, or some kind of defensive score, you're going to win, which we should have done that against Ole Miss, but we didn't. But bottom line is they made the plays. Miami, I thought, played very, very conservative in the first half, the way they attacked Indiana, and really didn't try to do much down the field, which hurt them, and got behind the 8 ball a little bit. But they made a good comeback and really in the game until they had the punt blocked. And then they just really good plays on the perimeter by Mendoza there, throwing the ball down the field to get that last score. But overall, this makes you understand why we need to go to 16 to make sure that teams aren't left out. It's been terrible if Miami would have been left out because of some reason this year. They're one of the better teams in the country, no question. Their defense, their running game, Carson Beck, a team like Notre Dame. There's 3 or 4 other teams that could have gotten in there. And what you're going to see with 16, anybody can win it, just kind of like the NCAA basketball tournament. So get a hot quarterback, get a team that's healthy, get a team that loses a couple guys because of injury, and before you know it, you've lost a game that you could have won. So so that's my take on the game.
I think back to this season, Georgia being at 6. I know a lot of folks are disappointed with that. But I'm like, you really lost 2 games by 3 points. And that it's just so close. I mean, Ohio State loses, Ole Miss, loses there at the very end. And my point is, the Miami has a chance to win it. It's only a 6-point lead. Carson Beck has a shot at the end zone. They could win 28-27. And it feels like the margin of error is 1 field goal, 1 interception, 1 fumble, 1 strip sack. And it's just the parity across college football right now is phenomenal. And I know a lot of people are hating the portal. They're hating the kids being, paid what they are. And they feel like it's a mercenary league, but I'm like, the ratings are through the roof, and the football is exciting.
Yeah,
I know it's not what Georgia wants, but I mean,
I'm really in a denial today, worrying about when I'm gonna watch my next football game, because really, like Bear Bryant used to say, there's practice, there's football, and there's spring football. And from my standpoint, I love these other sports, and I go support them and everything, and watch them all. But there's nothing like watching a football game live or on TV. And certainly we got the championships of the different football NFL coming up, and then the Super Bowl. But I just think as far as what football is going to be like, the over the next couple of years, just a unknown. I mean, you can't say, well, the Blue Bloods are going to be there, and these other teams. I mean, all of a sudden you got Texas Tech up there. Who's to think what's going to happen with new coaches that bring in 50, 60 new players at some of these good schools? Like they're projecting Virginia Tech right now as a top 20 team who just changed their whole coaching staff. And who knows, but a lot of it's based on the portal. Penn State bringing almost Iowa State. They're going to be the Penn State Cyclones. They got their whole team coming over there to play for them. So Texas had just bought three of the best players in the country to amplify their offense. And so we're going to see just an unbelievable season as far as I just don't think you're going to see a dominant team that just separates like we saw in the, Alabama and then Georgia. I just don't think you're going to see it. And really, the last 3 years now, we've had a Big Ten national champion. So SEC, step it up, man.
Here's a comment in the chat from Tony Huff, says Indiana caught lightning in a bottle. Let's see what happens next year before they're anointed the next grandest thing. And I think that's what you're saying, Coach, is that they may not go to be some big dynasty, but this is 2 years in a row that Indiana has won a ton of games and found its way in the playoff. This time they just had the best quarterback in the country.
Yeah, I mean, he's right at lightning in a bottle, but at the same time, their bottle was a 6-ounce bottle, and now it's a 24-gallon one. I mean, this team really has got a lot of good elements and got solid coaching staff, and they're bringing in this quarterback from TCU who's really,
Hoover
did a really good job for them, and they picked up some guys around the country too, because it's kind of like when we were really rolling, and I think we still are, but you're looking at guys that want to come and be on a championship team. And if you're on a non-competitive team and you can get pretty good money, why not go to Indiana? Why don't, have a chance to shoot for it? And now you got a situation there with Kyle Whittingham at Michigan and Ohio State and Oregon. And they say that USC's roster next year, based on their recruiting and the money they spend in the portal, is going to be incredible too. So that Big Ten is going to be everybody knocking each other off too. And now all of a sudden you got a new Michigan State coach and Pat Fitzgerald who knows how to get players. And there's not a lot of lay down games in that league. I mean, and I think top to bottom, maybe they might have us right now when you look at how, not that they're weak, but Auburn, Arkansas, some of these teams are just not near as what they were as far as being competitive.
I'm looking at that top 25. Tulane, 18. James Madison, 19. Iowa, 17. Virginia, 16. What a turnaround they had. Vandy, 15. And I know we almost think, oh, well, of course Vandy's up there. They've had 2 good years. But remember, this is Vandy, ranked 15th in the nation at the final polls there. Navy, Houston, North Texas. Just to your point, it's now it's wide open. And I know a lot of people, especially, the Blue Bloods like Georgia and Alabama, we're mad at that. But nationwide, people like it. So what does Georgia do to get back on top?
Too, Roddy, the parallel you can draw between Vandy and Indiana, they both brought in a significant amount of players from another team. New Mexico State and their quarterback came there and really fortified that team. And the same thing for Indiana. James Madison, he brought like 16 or 17 players from a playoff 1AA team. And this year, their schedule was a lot tougher than it was last year. But last year, their schedule helped them more than maybe their team. And they kind of got that momentum going and built it up and then picked up Mendoza, which without question was the coup of the year, because you can just see the guy is he's got everything you want. He's a pro quarterback and took some really tough shots there in the first half. I don't know what those officials were doing, but man, those were some shots he took.
All right, so with the spreading out of talent, as we discussed, and the fact that teams like you mentioned USC, Texas Tech, they can go out and buy the players. Georgia, like I said, was right there. You barely lose 2 games, and one of them, you got knocked out the playoffs and the Sugar Bowl. With the margins of error so thin, and other teams able to build their by their staffs, by their roster, how do you win it all in 2026?
Well, I think we're on the way right away, just because of comparing to last year, the retention level that we have. We talked about the first show of the year. I was worried about our depth, the number of guys on our defense are playing for other teams around the country, and the significance of some of the really good players that we lost off our roster. And I was encouraged by how we got some guys like Branch to come in, and I was hoping our safeties would be significant to help us. But you look how we struggled all year in the back end on defense, and got better. And then at the end, we had a guy knocked out of the game because of a targeting and a safety situation hurt us. But this year, we've lost, and I projected we were going to lose a lot more, but Kirby did a great job of keeping, to me, the right players. So the significant losses are the guys that went pro, which we pretty much figured that Allen would go, and Branch, but then all of a sudden Freeling goes, so and Miller. So those are 4 starters that are going to be hard to replace. But I do feel like that our retention is going to help us. Plus the freshmen that we got coming in, plus the portal, and people are talking about, well, I don't know if we have any playmakers and things like that. Who knows? I know Kirby knows his roster, and from my perspective, our roster is a lot more solid going into 27 than it was 26. Plus our schedule, we got Florida and Atlanta. We got Oklahoma here, and we don't have to play Texas. Our schedule is tough, but it's not like it was last year, in my opinion. And we got a very established quarterback with some guys behind him that are going to push him too. So good receivers, good backs. We helped our backfield. Helped our defense. We got the kicker coming back. We got a good punter. I feel we're going to be right in the race myself.
I agree with you 100%. And you know me, Coach, I am notoriously pessimistic. But I'm looking at this 2026 squad, and I'm like, all those guys who were first-year starters this year, Gabe Harris, Quintavious Johnson, Gunnar Stockton, Ellis Robinson, DeMello Jones, Elijah Griffin, Juan Gaston, Dontrell Glover, Drew Bobo. This is the first year starting for a lot of these guys. You lost, 10 players to the NFL draft last year? This year you lose what, maybe?
We lost 15 to the draft.
15, excuse me, I was thinking, 15. You're not going to lose that many to the draft. You retained them out of the portal, and these signing classes that you have, I'm telling you, when you look at that tight end room, you talk about your mouth-watering players of the week. Good Lord, those tight ends are nuts. And then we still haven't seen we've seen flashes from a Zayden Walker. Chris Cole's going to get his shot now. Justin Williams moves up. Khalil Barnes comes over from Clemson, and I'm like, this is a nasty team. I'm like, hell, I think Georgia's going to win the national championship. And you know me, I'm notoriously pessimistic, and I can find the wrong thing all the time. But I'm like, they got to be, and they won't be ranked number 1 because Ohio State and all these other teams will be ranked higher. I get it, but I like the way this team sets up, and I'm with you. I like the way the schedule sets up.
We got a better team coming back, starting the year than we had last year. I mean, we don't have Branch. I mean, all of a sudden he jumped out there, but Scobie White's going to be good. Taylor, we got some playmakers there, and a lot more solid at back too. I mean, help picking up this Dowdle kid. So,
I want to get your thoughts on Nate Frazier.
Go over that all day long, and people are going to have their opinions, but maybe we can answer some questions. But I can tell you this: the number one thing we did was retention. I mean, we kept some players that could have been, had some good offers, and we were able to keep them. And from my standpoint, nothing against the guys we lost or ones we kept, but I felt like we kept a lot better than we lost.
Yeah, actually, in my show notes here, just a couple of things I want to ask you about. I didn't want to go through the whole list of guys that they kept or even the guys they added, but there was one big one And to me, it was the story of the transfer portal, or at least the biggest drama of the transfer portal was the fact they were able to hang on to Chauncey Bowens and Nate Frazier. And I thought getting Nate to stick around was a big deal because I know teams came after him pretty hard.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know the ins and outs of it. And if I did, I wouldn't tell you because it's not fair. I shouldn't have that kind of – I mean, I don't have that kind of access, and I don't want it because I don't want to ever put myself in that position. But I do know just from listening and watching and everything that everything's hunky-dory. You got these guys ready to go. You got their contracts ready, and there's nobody even remotely thinking that something's going to happen. And then all of a sudden, a couple of these other schools start coming in there. And, you can say tampering anything you want to, but it's legal for agents to talk to the other agents. It's legal for agents to talk to the parents and whatever it might be. So all of a sudden you got one guy that somebody's offering more, and then they're saying, look, the other guy, and I'm not saying this necessarily on Chauncey. I'm just the situation like, hey, I like my deal, but, if you're going to sweeten his deal, I need mine, so that's just normal. I mean, that's the way it's going on nowadays, and you can't blame the kids, but kudos to our people for keeping them. That was good. And it goes back to me, though, the want to. Both these guys want to be here, but, you got to be competitive to keep them. So I thought that was good.
Well, and that's one of with all the national storylines that they tried to talk about the adversity that Carson Beck was overcoming, having since left Georgia, and making that sound like it was just depravity for him. Carson Beck didn't want to be at Georgia anymore, and Georgia was, quite frankly, ready to move on from him at the same time. Georgia thought he was going pro, and then he ends up at Miami in that situation. You wonder how the world changes if he goes pro after that junior season, because he would have been first-round quarterback that year.
Yeah, there's a lot of he said, she said stuff like that. And in all fairness to us and to Carson, I just think his mentor or the guy that is quarterback guy kind of took over the whole thing there. And he was running the show, and the family was listening to him, and we didn't have much to say about it. I mean, whether he should have had the surgery or not, or when a player's on your team and you don't talk to him for like 10 or 12 days, something's not right.
Yeah, I mean, you can't help him if he won't answer the phone. It's a pretty simple thing there. Speaking of quarterbacks, Georgia did get one quarterback at the end of the portal there, and I just want to get your thoughts real quick on Bryson Beaver, the Oregon signee. He was let out of his NIL letter. NLI, National Letter of Intent, and picked the Georgia Bulldogs after coming down for a visit. You've coached a gazillion quarterbacks. You've been a quarterback yourself. Your thoughts on Bryson Beaver?
Well, I've always thought that you need a quarterback every class, and we were going into this class without one. And so here's a guy that really came on strong at the end of the year. In the summer, did really well. He was going to Boise State, and then he had really good camps. Went to some of these Elite 11 things and kind of showed out. And he's got good height and good arm velocity and can move pretty well. And I haven't seen him live, so I can't really give you my complete analysis of him. But what I've seen on tape, I like the three we got. I think he's going to have a hard time. And I like Millender too, and Colton again. I like all five of them. I think they're all capable. But what we got to see is how he fits in when he gets here and learns the system and all that. But he gives you somebody that you can develop, and but I don't think he's any threat to take over anything over these other guys at this point, just because the system and everything involved, and he just hadn't had the timeline here. But good move by us, I thought.
Well, we've got a bunch of questions, especially there's some in the comments there. So if you want to get a question answered by Coach, go ahead and pop it in. We'll put it at the next in line. But I want to mention our friends over at Athens Ford real quick. They have some fantastic specials going on right now. Off the 2026, not the 2025, 2026 Ford Explorer, you can get up to $6,000 off. And they still have some 2025s left. It is January. They didn't sell out of all of them. They have the 2025 Ford Mustang GT for up to $10,000 off. The 2025 Ford Expedition, if you want the big one, up to $6,000 off. Of course, the best-selling truck in the world, or at least in the United States, Ford F-150 XLT, up to $15,000 off MSRP, or 3.9% financing for 72 months. And of course, they have crazy deals on the Broncos, $8,000 off the 2025 Big Ben Black Diamond, and just 2025 off the regular Ford Bronco. $8,000 off that. So, point is, get out to Athens Ford, get the lifetime powertrain warranty. Don't be afraid, because you can't hurt you at all. So, you're going to get a fantastic vehicle with a long warranty on it. Also want to mention Darden's Delights. I've mentioned last time that, if you're an office manager and you're always trying to figure out what to do when people have birthdays or something like that, they have a birthday pie. But if you've not tried Darden's Delights, maybe you're a bit hesitant. So I got a better plan for you so that you know what's coming. Go with the Darden's mini pie mix of Nirvana. Basically, you're going to get 4 of the 6-inch pies. Okay, fudge, lemon chess, chocolate chip cookie, and a surprise pick. Now, if you want to change it around and get different ones, go ahead and call them. But this is a great way to get 4 pies so you can try them all without having to buy the big ones. So personally, I would say, look, just get the Holy Moly peanut butter cup pie and call it a day, or get the lemon chess pie. But if you are hesitant for any reason, you're like, I don't know if I want to, what if I don't like it? It's a giant pie. Get 4 small ones. So get the mini mix from Darden's Delights. Betsy and David Glass, they run Darden's Delights. They named the company after their daughter. Some of the proceeds from Darden's Delights go to help children with developmental disabilities, like Miss Darden herself. So you will not only be supporting fellow Georgia fans, but you will also be getting fantastic pies to go to a great cause.
Coach, I had a couple more questions just from things last night I wanted to wrap up from Indiana's national championship. Curt Cignetti was asked about his father, who's a longtime coach, and I saw him get a little emotional about that. I know you knew his father a little bit, so I'd like just to hear more about him and where Curt Cignetti came from.
Yeah, Frank Cignetti had some background up in Pennsylvania, and then I got to know him when he was the head coach at West Virginia, because Greg Williams, a coach that coached for me, played with me at NC State. He was a coach up there with Frank at West Virginia. And, he had a great career at IUP, Indiana University of Pennsylvania, and got in the Hall of Fame for his in that division. From that division, he had a great career there, and he had several sons that followed him in the coaching business, and never met Curt, but he definitely had a good run. I think he played some quarterback at West Virginia, but not a lot. But and then once you get up to West Virginia, like I did at Marshall, then you have some interaction with some people that knew him, that were on the staff there and retired or whatever it might be. But good football family for sure.
The other for me is when you look for unicorns around the country, players that just are different than other players in the country. I think Juan Gaston can be that for Georgia. When they had Bowers and Darnell Washington, it was that. Malachi Toney and what he did at Miami this season, and then moving forward to what he projects, right there with the top playmakers in the country, right?
No question. And get it to him some more. I mean, he's deadly. I mean, that little jet sweep they run where they flip it to him, where he scored to win the game a couple weeks ago, and then last night he scored on it. He had 2 touchdowns. I think he had 2 touchdowns, but he's really a player and good returner, good kick returner, and very tough physical blocker. Reminds me a lot of Hines Ward. Just physical, but a little quicker maybe, but maybe not as big. But he's going to make things happen. I was surprised they didn't get the ball to number 0, and he tried a few times, but good receiver. And then that kid from LSU did a good job for him too. He dropped a big one there on the end route that could have made a big difference there, but a lot of pressure. And Indiana was around the ball though. Their defensive backs were on their receivers, pretty well all night. But you just they could tell the running game for the most part, except for that 50, 60-yard run too. I thought that was pretty big too.
I was also so impressed with Indiana's fans to be the majority fan base in a national championship at Miami. And then at the end, when Miami needs to be playing fast, they get a delay a game to start that final drive.
Yeah, I mean, that was terrible. I mean, it reminds me of a high school coach I know used to get those all the time around here that, after a change of possession, that just can't happen. You got to be ready to go. And they're going to start the clock. So you want to give those last minute instructions to them, but they got to get out there and run the play. But that puts you behind the 8 ball. But fortunately, they made the third down and hit that tight end down the seam and kept it rolling. But Indiana fans, you can imagine. I mean, they've been in the doldrums for all these years. I remember just one thing when I went out to Kansas State and they'd lost 20 straight Big 8 games, and we won 4 the first year. I mean, it's like these people couldn't do enough for us. I was used to winning on a pretty good level, and we still didn't have a winning record that year, but we turned it around. But fans, just any kind of success is when you hadn't had any, when you've been beaten down for so long, you just got to remember, if you're in Indiana, wherever you live in Indiana, or you're an Indiana alumni and you're saying our team's playing for the national championship, my ass is going, because I don't know if I'm going again. So I don't care if it's $4,000 a seat or what, I'm going, which I don't blame you. I mean, it's a bucket list thing. National championship game is nothing like it. Get so many good memories and bad, but just the thrill of playing in that game, coaching in that game is just, you just can't really get it across to people that you can say, I'm the national champion. I mean, that's a heck of a thing to be able to say.
I'm with you 100%.
Here. Oh, sorry, I didn't see you talking. Go ahead.
I was thinking, I remember we did a story about the prices for those tickets in Indianapolis and how many people came up to that game. And then it's like, hey, it's going to be in LA. People flock to LA. I mean, if your team's playing for the title, it's, hey, look, your kids having college fun, but there's also a thing called student loans. They can take out a student loan like you did. We're going to go watch our team play for the title.
Everything's relative. I mean, seriously, you gotta take care of tomorrow and all that and plan for it. But it's a lifetime experience. Go for it.
Amen.
This question from John Lang over on Facebook. Coach, what confused Carson Beck on the interception? He had to see the middle high safety.
Yeah, he did, but the corner is the one that intercepted it.
Yeah, well, he's saying that allowed the corner to break off on that and play underneath.
Well, that's probably what happened. He didn't see the safety, but I don't think that play is based on the safety as much as the corner. If the corner is, if he's head up on you when you get ready to throw the ball, you throw it and let him go and see if he can go get it. And he was head up with him. I think he let him a little bit too much to the inside though. But if he's staying, I'm leaving him, and if he's leaving, I'm staying. That's about how you get the back shoulder. So that's the way I look at it. But just an underthrown ball a little bit. But they did a lot.
It just felt like he missed the throw.
What?
I just felt like he missed the throw. He just felt like he underthrew it.
That's what I said. It's underthrown.
Yeah.
It was, he didn't get enough juice on it. I think
he did tell reporters after that his ears were ringing after the game. He took that hard hit and got the late hit from Indiana. I had wondered if he was shaken up from that a little bit and maybe that adjusted.
Could have been, and certainly. But a lot of times when the guy's that open, you try to guide it a little bit, try to get it in there, because he had him a couple steps early. But it was and there's nothing wrong with taking shots, but it's at that point you're on the 50-yard line or close to 50. I think I'm going to keep throwing underneath the 0. I mean, to 10 and see what he can do with it.
And I think we saw in this college football playoff 5 kicks hit off the upright. One last night. You saw an extra point that hit and went in last night too for Indiana.
Yeah, those are magnetic goal. I mean, they're tracking the ball. I've never seen that many.
This question comes from Gary Holt. Coach, are we thinking that Georgia will keep its coaching staff? Why are other schools, are they trying to recruit Georgia's coaches?
Yeah, I mean, it's usually the time that you get the changes in coaches are right after the bowl games or the championship games or right after signing date, which is February the whatever, 2nd or something like that. So I would say, and then there's always a chance with all these pro staffs changing like they have that maybe somebody could, because of the prior knowledge of somebody that's on our staff, we could lose somebody like, our assistant offensive line coach or John Lilly, guys that have pro backgrounds. But I don't foresee anything at this point. If they were going to happen, it probably would have happened already.
Well, also when they say, why don't we hear about, other teams coming after your coaches, those reports don't always get out because you reach out to the guy's agent and say, hey, would he be interested in coming to Michigan? We need a tight ends coach, or we need a offensive coordinator, or we need a secondary coach for the secondary. And the agent talks to the coach and, the guy he represents and says, hey, Michigan's reaching out. And the Georgia coach says, nah, I got no interest in it. So that doesn't happen because there's no job offer. It's just an inquiry. And if they turn down the inquiry, then where's the report? It doesn't leak out because Michigan doesn't want it out there to look like they got turned down. The head coach or the assistant coach is going to let his agent tell Georgia, hey, we got inquiries coming in here. Georgia doesn't want it out there because they're trying to not give the guy a raise if they can't help it. So when only the agent would leak it, and they don't always do that.
Here's the thing, and everybody worries about. I shouldn't say everybody. People maybe don't understand the nuances of it. We've got a slick head coach here. Part of the reason our coaches aren't leaving, beside the fact he wants to keep them, is they've got some big ass buyouts now. I mean, these people, if you want to come get one of our coaches, you better be ready to pay him, and you better be ready to pay his buyout too. And there's not many college teams going to do that for an assistant coach. Maybe a pro does, but these guys are lucky to have, and we've got a great staff, and they're lucky to have a job here. But at the same time, Kirby protects his interests here now. I think it's smart. So you're aware of that, aren't you, Roddy, that these guys have big buyouts?
I knew that one of them did, but I didn't realize they all did. That's impressive.
I mean,
well, if you think about the people that have left, most
honestly, it's not who I thought it was. I thought only Glenn Schumann had the buyout.
Most have gone to be head coaches when they leave Georgia. You don't see many lateral moves.
You can do that, but I don't know the extent of what the buyouts are, but I can tell you, we've had some guys offered jobs other places that were good jobs, and something that they might really have considered, but push comes to shove, nobody's going to be paying. Most of our guys are 800,000 plus, aren't they?
Yes.
And so it's going to take $1 million plus to get them. Plus they got to pay 2 or 3 year buyout of 800,000. That's $1.5 million, $1.6 million. So you're going to take an assistant coach for $3 million? I mean, I don't see it.
No.
Coach, I know over the next couple of months, that's when Georgia does a lot of research of just what's happening in the sport, in pros and in college, and you just learn as much as you can, and Kirby Smart is right there in the middle of it. What do you think Georgia will be looking for, or what can it learn from what Indiana has done, or maybe it's something Miami did, or maybe Ole Miss with its finding a quarterback from Ferris State? When Georgia tries to learn from what worked for teams this year, what do you think it'll find?
Well, one thing you always do between now and spring is you self-scout yourself, and you also look at all the good teams in the country and see what they're doing. And it's very easy with the access. You've got the tape and everything and all that. the analysts you have, and you just build up an arsenal of tape to look at of what the good teams are doing and how it works, and also look at the teams in our league that what they did well and what hurt them, and then you start scouting your teams you got to play for next year, and look at their not only what they did, but you got to look at their personnel, and you can't necessarily look at their personnel because some of them have gone and left, but you got some new guys coming in transfer, so you scout them too. You got to look at them on tape and get an idea of what they can do, particularly these first games. So a lot of film and tape study between now and spring, and then the other thing you want to do is indoctrinate your new guys into the system. So I know, for instance, like we got I don't know, Roddy can say maybe 4 or 5 offensive linemen, and
I was honestly just looking that up exactly because I was like, how many? I couldn't remember. I thought it was at least 4.
But you got a guy like Stacy Searles on the road the next 3 weeks. All these coaches on the road going to see juniors and sophomores, and Kirby's out. But you got people like Warren Erickson and different younger coaches. What they'll do is take these kids and spend some time with them 3 or 4 days a week, just teaching them the basic fundamentals of stance, cadence, plays, things like that. So they got a good idea outside the extra stuff that they're doing in the weight room and things like that. So there'll be some personal teaching of the system there, of the playbook. And same thing with receivers, quarterbacks. All that'll be good to get them ready to go for spring practice.
5 offensive linemen. So.
Okay, well, Lauren will have them in there working them out.
Well, actually, that's one of the questions we got was where to go. Somebody asked us, do you think Georgia needs to get another offensive lineman?
In the portal?
Comments there. Yeah, that was there it is from Joseph Crocker.
No, I think we got the guy, this guy we know, he's from Mays High School. He's got some good size, and he's going to be developed here. And then we got some really good freshmen. I mentioned Zaki coming in. These other guys, Ogbo, I wish I could pronounce his name, but
Ikine Ogboko.
Say it for me again.
Ikine Ogboko.
Oboko. Well, he's on my show, that's for sure. I like him. If a guy, you can watch him on YouTube, if a guy can get off the mat like he does and jump up and do a pass set, he's got a chance. And I love to see feet like that. I love to see explosion. And his brother's going to be a good player for us, too. He's already here, so good job.
The transfer portal did close on Friday, but it is important to note that Indiana and Miami, the portal is still open because they just played. So maybe there's something there for teams around the country.
Yeah,
for instance, Fernando Mendoza's little brother is going to be transferring quarterback.
Yeah, he's probably going to go to Tech. I hate to hear that, but I was talking to a friend of mine that knows Fernando and talking about his brother. But nothing wrong with him going to Tech. But I was hoping nothing wrong with Tech either, except I don't want him to go there. But he's a good player. But here's the point too about these kids. They just you got to remember, if the Friday night at 12 o'clock was the last time you could get in it, but you've got Saturday, Sunday, and Monday that nobody's in the office to clarify that these guys are in the portal at the different schools. So you're going to see some names today from Friday that we probably didn't know about. Yesterday was a holiday, so it doesn't count. And then you got the 5 days for these kids from Miami and Indiana. And I'm sure Indiana's telling their players, look, kind of like we do, hey, we want you back, or hey, we really don't have a lot of plans for you. Obviously, Mendoza sees this kid coming in from TCU, and they probably told him he's not going to get the shot that he thought he was. So, but I can't say that for sure. I do know that he has a chance to go to Tennessee, Stanford, Georgia Tech, Duke. He's got plenty of offers.
I like it. That question from Facebook from Barry Brown: who are the players that will be UGA's edge rushers in 26-27 throughout the playoffs? The teams that had good edge rushers played well.
Well, I think this guy from Auburn certainly going to help us. You look at the tape down after down. I mean, this guy, long arm, can get off the ball, good against the run. I think he'll be there. You mentioned both the Harris and Johnson will be back having a year in the system. And then we used Cole and Williams on the edge some too. And then Ogboto. I mean, all these guys he's more of an inside guy, I guess, but it's an issue that the last couple of years it hasn't been as good as it has been. But of course, those guys are first round draft choices are the ones that were doing so well for us. I wonder where Dayne Wilson's going. Has anybody heard?
I have not. Also, did we ever find out where Chris Jones wound up?
Maybe.
I've heard of him.
I thought it was a northern school for Chris Jones.
Yeah, I remember seeing towards the end of the year Zayden Walker coming on big, and you still have Isaiah Gibson, waiting and that true freshman from North Oconee.
Yeah, we'll be okay. BC, eh?
Yeah. The only objective sports fan, a very good supporter of our show. There it is.
Here's a question from the dog vent for you, Coach. How close were you to taking the UNC job in the late 90s?
Close. And,
I knew the answer to that one.
And it was more because some of the things that I was told were going to happen here hadn't happened, and leveraged it a little bit. But in the end, I just couldn't tell my players that I could leave. I really couldn't. That's what it got down to. But I don't want to rehash what happened here before because nobody wants to know that. But it's just
I got a question.
I did take a cut coming from Marshall to Georgia, which is hard to believe, but hard to believe a guy could make more money at Marshall than he does at Georgia. But so that next year when the Carolina offered me, I finally started getting paid what the job was.
Nice. I did get a question last night on Twitter. They asked me to ask you. It was right after you saw was a Miami kid caught the ball like the 3-yard line instead of like you always say, plant your heels on the 10 and let it go over your head. And then the punt, see that pained expression?
Yeah, I mean, that was the first punt of the game. God, I couldn't believe it. That was number 10 too.
Yeah. Folks, if you're listening to the podcast, it looked like somebody just punched Coach Donnan in the stomach the way he's grimacing there thinking about it. And then the punt is blocked. And the first question I got after, a bunch of people said, hey, weekly tweet about special teams was, what does Coach Donnan always say about special teams?
Yeah, 1 out of every 6 plays. But, you put your feet on the 10, and if you move backwards, you let the ball go. That's all it is to it. No matter how much you think you can do or how good it looks, let the ball hit. And more times than not, it's going to roll in the end zone. And it's 20 yards. And when you're not making many first downs like Miami, that's incredible. So just the little things that Indiana did that Miami didn't. And the preponderance of stupid penalties that Miami made throughout the game were just too much. And in the end, Indiana made a really bad penalty, second 1 on 11. And they get it. Don't put all these guys in motion and shift and everything when you got a chance to make a first down. Just go for it, man. And offensive tackles move and they lose 5 yards.
Agreed. Bread Pitt says that Damon Wilson's visiting Miami today.
Who is?
Sense.
He said
Damon Wilson.
You got to figure he's going down there. That's where he's from. And
yeah, that makes sense. Exactly what we're talking about. Gary Holt says, tell Coach to get stocked up on supplies for the big storm that's coming.
Yeah, I mean, I'm day to day, man. I didn't even have any idea about that. I was just glad to see the sun today, but
Yeah.
from the standpoint of good weather. But I guess it does look bad. My son Todd was saying, "Gonna get some bad weather out in Oklahoma." He's supposed to go on a trip this weekend, and he's going to have to leave a little earlier just because the weather's going to be so bad.
Well, safe travels to him. R. Scott wants to know, do you guys feel like our defensive back room will blossom? This is also the worst tackling team we've had in a while.
Well, I sure hope it will, because that was an issue for us last year, and we got better at it. We didn't tackle well against Ole Miss, missed some tackles, but I think that'll be important, really point of emphasis for our team, spring and fall, and see how these guys can fit in. I mean, instead of having Malachi Starks back there, or we had some guys that weren't Malachi Starks. I mean,
yeah.
So,
hell, they weren't Dan Jackson.
No, I mean, not many are, but we missed a lot of tackles.
Yeah.
I just think the emergence of Ellis Robinson was really strong for Georgia. And if you get the other safety spot right, Georgia was chasing at that all year long. If they can find something more helpful there, maybe it's Khalil Barnes, maybe it's someone else that's on the roster. That's got to be a key to the offseason.
Yeah, I think you're looking at the secondary being Barnes, Bolden, Dinkins, DeMello, and Robinson. And he brought this guy, Gentry Williams, in as an extra corner, and it's kind of a trade-off. He tried to keep, the kid that went to Ohio State, but bottom line, you can't pay a guy as much as they're offering him, and he's a backup here, and you can't promise him playing time because these other two guys are playing ahead of him, and he doesn't promise them that anyhow. But it hurt us losing Kelly because he's an established corner, but you got one in Gentry Williams. If he can stay healthy, he's had shoulder issues, but he's a big-time corner. And, one of the biggest issues that nobody's talked about injury-wise is Fitzpatrick being hurt coming in here is huge because he's a difference maker defensive back. We were counting on him to come in here and jump in like Ellis Robinson did. And with a ACL, it's going to be hard for him to be ready. I don't know if it in particular wasn't an ACL or whatever it was, but
I thought so.
You got a guy like him now. He's just a special player, and
he's his brother.
And I mean, you see this in go back to our history, guys like whoever it might be, whether it's Kamari Laster or KJ Bolden or Ellis Robinson, or I mean, these guys you hear about, and Ellis didn't take over that first year like you thought, but he hurt his shoulder and was able to redshirt. But I mean, named the number one defensive back in the nation as a freshman corner this year. That's pretty strong.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I like this question from Theron Chapman Jr. With not much experience at wide receiver, do you think we'll have a good passing game, or will we become a heavy running team? You lost 5 of your top 6 pass catchers, Coach. You added Isaiah Canyon out of the portal, but I mean, you that's a lot of production to lose to the wide receiver spot, and you got your backs and you got your offensive line. Does Georgia become a ground and pound team?
I hope so. I mean, when you can run it and you can stop the run and keep the other team off the field and run play action passes with our tight ends, I mean, there's not many people in the country. If you just go these 3 numbers, 7, 9, and 10, you got Lucky, Barbour, and Williams. I mean, there are not 3 tight ends like that in any room. Might be 1. But those 3 guys right there, and then you got Riddell and Heinrich, you got this pro throw guy coming up. So the play action game is going to be great because the running game is going to be good. I don't apologize for having a great running game. I think I'd a whole lot rather have that than these teams that are running the spread offense and throwing it all over the yard. They're not winning on a level that you need to. You look at Indiana last night, they won that game because they could run and they could throw the RPOs and they had just enough drop back passing, and they had a really good defense and good kicking game.
I promise you, Miami wanted Indiana to drop back, pass more, and let those edge guys get after the quarterback.
Yeah.
But the timing of it didn't allow it.
Yeah, you can't. That pass rush they got more pressure in the first half than the other two teams did combined in 8 quarters.
I'm with you there.
Coach, there was one play in particular. I think it was in the fourth quarter. They needed a first down to extend the drive, and I thought of you immediately because they did a motion left, and they let Fernando Mendoza roll out with it, and Miami did not adjust to the motion at all. And every time I sat beside you in a watch-along show, and you say, get the quarterback in motion, it just helps him stay in rhythm. And he didn't go scramble for 60 yards. All he did was run left with the line, with the blocking, and he had a wide-open receiver, and I think he got 8 yards out of it.
Yeah, and what they did, they were in three by one, and they brought the number 2 guy in motion like he was going all the way across the formation. And then at the last second, when the ball was snapped, he stopped and came back out in the flat. And then the receiver that was the inside receiver now occupied the nickel with an inside release, and the nickel turned on him. And when he did that, the guy coming back in motion on that JoJo motion. So it'd be a guy like right here, he's going across and then he stops and comes back out the other way. And they timed it perfectly. And right when he cleared the end tackle area and went in the flat, that nickel turned his back and he's wide open. Big first down. And the thing you want to do, if you absolutely got to have a first down, you got to be able to launch the ball. So the safest thing to do is move your quarterback, and that's what they did, and that kept things rolling for them. That was a good call.
Speaking of good calls, on
quarterback draw, which we didn't have the watch-along show, but during the timeout, I texted a couple of my buddies. I said, I promise you they're not going to throw the ball here. He's going to run some kind of quarterback run. And I'm not saying I was right just because, but I just – had that feel like I'm coaching. Look, we got to get something out of this. They're going to be looking for this, and they blocked the heck out of it. And he made a Herculean effort on it too. I mean, it was a great play by Fernando.
It was definitely he dove in the end zone. Everyone's like, "There's his Heisman moment." I'm like, he's had Heisman moments all year long. It's just a
hey, this kid that Heisman jinx like that Smith guy had against Florida when Ohio State played him and Urban won his first championship. I mean, this guy, wow. And that team there, I saw the other day, that Florida team has 41 players on that team have been arrested since 2007.
Good Lord.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. Real quick, I need to mention our friends over at Atlanta Dental Implants. This is a fantastic company that takes care of you the minute you get there. It's not going to be a situation where they have an expensive consultation and you don't get to talk to the doctor, and they're just there to try to wring as much money out of you as possible, like some of these places are. No, this is the experts that all these other dentists send their patients to when they need either single implants or the whole top or the whole bottom. They have great pricing plans for you. They will let you know up front what it's going to cost. They're not there to try to rake you over the coals. They're there to improve your life. And why? Because Skylar Holcomb, the doctor that you're going to meet on your first visit, the Georgia graduate, the crazy rabid dog fan, that's the way he runs his business. And it gets him a lot of referrals, and people like him because they are trusted authorities in the state. Everybody knows them. Everybody likes them. Everybody recommends them. So I'm recommending them, A, because he's a Georgia guy, but B, because of the reviews. Go look at these people whose lives have been changed by getting their entire mouths fixed. So check out Atlanta Dental Implants. I guarantee they will make a difference in your life going forward.
So, Radi, I know that when it comes to running a media company, one of the greatest expenses is travel. So are you already peeking ahead to Vegas for this time next year, should Georgia make that national championship? Because I know you have some friends out there and Todd Parmalee.
Yeah, Todd will. I mean, he put us up last time we went out there, and he's flown me out a couple times to speak to Bulldog clubs out there and SEC clubs, and uh, I know that different places can host the event, but to me, you should just make it there every year. Make it Vegas every year,
or flip flop it with New Orleans. Do those two.
Yeah, I mean, New Orleans gets the Sugar Bowl. That's fine, but the national championship, just have it there every year. I'm a big fan of Las Vegas. I love the town, and I love the folks out there. And Todd is this is a Georgia fan who didn't go to a game until the first championship game. He grew up not in anywhere near Georgia, but his uncle made him sit down and watch Herschel Walker, and he became the biggest Georgia football fan I've ever met. He's also a big Seattle Seahawks fan. But yeah, the Bulldogs, if they make it, and again, I'm irrationally optimistic about how this Georgia football team is going to do next year. And I know when you look at the transfer portal, you see how Texas Tech and Ohio State and some of these other teams did, and they went out and got these crazy players, and Miami's going to add a bunch more. I'm like, I'll still take Georgia's roster against anybody's. It's going to be loaded, and it's going to be a year more mature. They overachieved this year. I know people don't want to hear that, but I said it was a rebuilding year, not a reloading year. And then all of a sudden, when Georgia's beating the brakes off everybody, and I'm like, yeah, they're winning, but remember, look at the first half of these games. This is where that inexperience shows up.
Too on Ohio State. Ohio State's lost like 29 players. I mean,
the
portal, all these teams. So it's going to be fun. That's why we'll talk all about it, but I'd a whole lot rather have an established team that you know what you got, and the guys have been part of your culture, and you don't have to kiss their butt because they're new guy coming in. Not that you got to do that but you know what I'm saying? The guys here know what's expected, and we haven't gotten the next win, that's for sure, but we have had pretty good run here the last 8 or 9 years for sure.
Well, the 2026 offseason begins today. And I always find that this part between now and spring ball feels like it goes pretty quickly. Now, between spring and fall ball, that's when it feels like it's a slog to get there. So, Roddy, I think the dog vent will be packed with updates as we head into spring practice and roster management season.
Yeah.
And also playoff expansion could be happening because those discussions happen now too.
Yeah, and I used to say this about incoming recruits when I was coaching, where there's a tendency to talk a lot more about them than the guys you got. Man, I tell you, look at our roster, guys on our team. I mean, seriously, Juan Gas. And is anybody, if you got 10 minutes today, I don't know if it's on YouTube or Google, just Google Elijah Griffin and watch that sucker play a few plays and think about Carter. I mean, that's what you think about. I mean, he's that kind of player, or Lance Williams, or Frazier, Gontrell, Glover. Gaston. These are
yeah. I mean, I know a lot of people were disappointed that they didn't get Trey Richardson and they didn't go after Caden Lee. And I'm like, you got a kid by the name of Talon Taylor who's a 5-star who missed most of the season because he got injured. I'm like, that just give him a minute. And they're like, oh, well, we lost Zach Branch. I'm like, yeah, you got this kid named Sokovie White Helton. Sokovie's serious, So again, Mr. Pessimistic is ridiculously optimistic because I'm like,
right.
I've seen who you got coming back.
Well, here's
and again, year 2 with Gunnar Stockton.
Come on. You got this 85 thing now, and it's 105 on the numbers, and just about everybody now is on scholarship, and you gotta use your numbers accordingly, and you can't make exceptions and say, well, we're going to have 15 receivers and 8 another position and come up short of that other position because you're trying to chase one guy. Now, certainly we tried to get Coleman for sure, but we were out of the ball game on it. Just would knock everything out of the kilter with everything else we had. But But I just think that people need to understand that, particularly people who are in business, you have a budget and you have a system in place, and you just can't change the whole system and make an exception for one player and change everything. Now, occasionally you have to move things around a little bit, but we've been pretty good, except the guys we missed on last year. We've been pretty good in the portal now. You look at, and it's too bad that Rod Thomas didn't work out. I heard he's really doing well in these bowl games down there working out. And then you look at Kobe White and Kobe Young, and then Branch, and we'll Dozy didn't work out like we thought, but he didn't get spring practice either. But anyhow, if you're a Georgia person, I think 26 to me, I get a slogan. I mean, Tippy Canoe and Tyler too. I mean, whatever it is, whatever it is, we got. I feel good about the Dogs myself, and I'm realistic. I didn't feel that great last year. I told you, I had them pegged.
Very honest about it,
but I'm as close to being James Brown as I've been in the last 3 years here.
There we go. All right, folks, we're going to wrap the show with that.
One last joke here, because I wanted to tell it when I came on, but it's I got to share with my friends here. So this guy had gone down to South America on this business trip, and they were staying in this luxury resort. And all of a sudden, they had a temporary earthquake there that became a really bad one and demolished the whole hotel. So people are out there, and you got first responders, you got people in the hotel, everybody just looking for everybody and picking up rubble and checking things out. And I hear this faint voice that said, "Hey, this is Ronnie. This is Ronnie." And one of his friends goes up to the first responder and said, "Yeah, he's my friend." And they said, "Ronnie, is that you? Is that you, Ronnie?" He said, "Yeah, it's Ronnie." He says, "Where are you?" He said, "I'm still in room 239. Come on now, that's pretty good, Roddy. He's still.
It's got the camera looking down at Roddy's gear. It's tracking him as he droops his head down to his desk.
He's still in room 239. Come on, you like it, Roddy?
This is why we can't have nice things, Coach. I like it. Good stuff. All right, man. That's it for this week's show. We will talk to you next week. Y'all take care.